welcome everybody to Be on the Cloud. Thank you for being here. It's been a few weeks since we've been live, and we are going to go to a new format where we'll be live for half an hour instead of the hour. And yeah, so you can join us on here at any time. And so we will go around and introduce ourselves. So I am Tanya Hiltz, founder of Cloud Business Services and Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. So we're going to go clockwise. So Jonathan, you're up next.
Jonathan Carter, founder of CATA Accounting Solutions, helping Canadian businesses and individuals with tax and other things.
Awesome. Stacey, you are up next.
Stacey Stanley Young from Stanley Young Business Strategies in this beautiful snowy province of Manitoba. We just about got rid of the snow.
I saw that. That was insane, the snow that you guys got the other day. Anyway, wow. Okay, thank you. Jessica, you're up next.
Hi, Jessica Fox from Florida, virtual bookkeeper. I cannot relate to the snow.
Awesome. And Lynn, last but not least.
Hi, Lynn James, Data Link Office Solutions, and I'd like to say sunny BC, but no, we're still suffering from some pretty low temperatures out here, and I'm waiting for spring.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for you guys in BC though. We get way more snow than you guys do, so I don't feel so
I'm
bad.
sorry, Tanya, we have had fire.
Yeah, true. You know what? You're right. You guys, you're right. You guys had a horrible year.
We've had a horrible year, and it's
You're right.
actually, it's the last, 6 or 8 months. You can't even say it's a whole year. We've had everything thrown at us.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm done. I'm ready for some.
Okay, so I'll give you this year. You're right. I'll give BC this year for sure. All right. So we thought we would talk about CRMs. So Jonathan, you were saying you were looking at switching. And so, yeah, let us know a little bit about, why you're looking at switching, what isn't being met, and feel free to use topics because I'm sure anybody watching or watching a replay when it goes out on YouTube might be interested again, what has these pros and cons.
So we're currently using Dubsado, which we like for a lot of things, but we're not using to its full extent. Essentially, we're using it for some automated communication, capturing and tracking leads, and then managing our projects and our workflows through there. What we're finding is that some of the things aren't operating as they should be operating, and we're spending a lot of time babysitting the system and babysitting the projects. Part of that is, of course, human error and, us getting in and making sure we check off our steps. But another part of that just seems to be mysterious. So it's a little bit frustrating when you expect something to automatically happen and it doesn't. And if you don't go back and check, then the project stalls out, and then you can end up with an upset customer, being pressured on a deadline, things along those lines. Luckily, we haven't missed any deadlines, but I don't like the fact that we're babysitting it and that my team and I feel the pressure sometimes because, stuff doesn't happen until a few weeks before the deadline or something. So I want to know what everybody else is looking for in a CRM.
Okay.
We
Go
use
ahead.
ClickUp. Now we use ClickUp as our task manager software. We still have a long ways to go to make it look really nice, but we will also use ClickUp in our as a CRM in there. And we've honestly, in my CRM, I have name, phone number, maybe their mailing address in there. It's very basic for that. But of course, that all ties into their projects that we're doing and the tasks that we have associated with them.
Yeah, we started off using 17 hats, and that's what we use for some things. Now we've got a lifetime deal for some things on it, but yeah, we are finding that there are still some things with that. We didn't find that it was very good for the to-do. So we are using ClickUp for our to-dos. We use 17 hats for the communication. Again, it's very different because we have the lifetime deal. Whether I use it or not for the rest of my life, I'm never going to pay anything. But we found that for notes, we were forgetting to put notes in there. So we actually, in ClickUp, we've got Airtable that we have embedded into some of our dashboards in ClickUp. And so we're kind of using Airtable to put notes, and we may be changing completely over to ClickUp for some of the emails. We may keep it in 17 hats. It's just, we're still looking into how to do that, because having those emails templated is really important as well, to be able to just fill in the blanks. I don't think ClickUp does that as well, but I think there's other things ClickUp does it with the email better. Leanne and Stacy have been talking, and Leanne just hasn't filled me in. So I could be incorrect on some of this stuff. But yeah, we are definitely learning and trying to figure out, because even if we have 17 hats, I've definitely still got my money out of it. We are starting to like, we've got, I got fresh proposals, which is very similar to Proposify through a deal in AppSumo. And so we're working at getting that set up right now. That was a while ago. I haven't used it, but Proposify still has a free one, which is beautiful. So we're trying to learn how to do that, because then the proposals are much nicer. Proposify, you can have like up to 5 proposals out at once or open at once for the free plan. And I love that, because that is just perfect what we need here. And again, it looks a little bit nicer than the contracts through 17 hats. And we can do the quoting and the contract kind of in one. So we are looking at moving things around and setting up some questionnaires with job forms. So we are looking at using other things that we use. We will never probably use an all-in-one, just simply because of the boot camp that we have, right? We have got the boot camp, we have to have templates and some stuff. So some stuff we use because it's better for us, some stuff it's because it's better to share, but we're trying to find that really nice marriage between the two. So that's what we use here. Jessica or Lynn?
Well, what I love talking apps and geeking out, and almost pretty much every app that's been mentioned so far, I've gone down that rabbit hole because I suffer from shiny apps syndrome. And about 4 years ago, 2018, I was in this quest for a unicorn, the all-in-one app to do it all in one place, one fee. It doesn't exist. It's truly a unicorn. It's mythical. Some app partners try, but it ends up being a jack of all trades and master of none. So then you have to prioritize, like, okay, what are my must do features? I need it to do this, and everything else I manage. So the closest was 17 hats. It's not perfect for everything, but it got the job done very, very well for 3.5 years. It was practically everything for me outside of the accounting software and the accounting specific tools. Now, like Tanya says, I also took advantage of the lifetime deal. So there was a really good value in it, and I am grandfathered in it. Somebody looking into it today, they changed the pricing. Now there's tiers and you have to pay extra for some features. So you will need to see if it's going to meet your needs. So I used 17 hats for everything until last year, and where I needed more users than it came with, because it's a tool designed for the solopreneur, and you have a maximum of 5 users. And once I outgrew that, I then transitioned the project management aspect to another tool, but my lead management, contracts, proposals, onboarding, communications is still in 17 hats, because that template library is so robust. The fact that I don't have to write the same email twice, it's very worth it. Now, I do agree that the formatting may not be as pretty as other tools. The contracts can be formatted with HTML and make them look prettier, but of course it's a little bit more techy. But given that I paid for it once in 2018 and I've gotten so much use out of it, you know what? I'll compromise the looks rather than paying a hefty monthly fee just to have nice, fashion-worthy proposals.
Yep. Yeah, same thing. Fine, exact same as you find sometimes it outgrows, but it's like, yeah, we've used it, but that templated library, or that library of templates, if you can do that and have it fill in the blanks, like that is key, right? So
it saves so much time. I never find myself actually typing an email to a client.
Yeah.
I just go to their contract, click email, select the template. It automatically fills in their name, their company name, the bank account, the type of the link to the share folder, whatever the case may be. I click send. Unless I want to add in like a happy Easter, to make it even more personal, I don't need to do any typing. And yeah, that's 30 seconds here, 2 minutes there that you would spend writing an email, but it adds up in time savings. And I never have writer's block. And if I have a team member send an email on my behalf, I don't have to worry about their writing style or their grammar skills because it's pre-written.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
we use ClickUp as those templated emails. So
I am glad that ClickUp has been getting their act together to fix things. Unfortunately, when I went down that rabbit hole, it was still pretty early when, a lot of people hadn't heard of it. And unfortunately, when I tried it, they had a lot of growing pains. They were focused on releasing at least 3 new features every week without making sure that the features they already had were working well. So after a few months, I paid for an account. So I thought I was going to be all in. I paid for a year of premium or ultimate, whatever they call it. And anytime something didn't work, I would contact support and like, oh yes, it's the bug. We know about it. After the third or fourth time of getting that response, I'm like, no, I'm not going to be paying for having to track to make sure things are working. And instead of getting a fix telling it's like, oh yes, we're working on that, but no clear ETA, no sense of urgency. So unfortunately, they lost my trust. But I am glad that they seem to have overcome that, because I was still using them when they released the email. And the automations with the email, I thought, this is great. I am going to automate the nagging of my clients for their bank statements. It worked 1 month and then it broke and I didn't notice until I'm looking at the deadlines like, why hasn't this client sent me their stuff? And then I realized they never got the nagging reminder to send me their stuff.
That's a whole other story when tech goes wrong, right? So that's
a whole nother session. We don't have enough
time.
The
horror movie on its own. Exactly. So Lynn, we haven't heard from you. What do you use for CRM?
I love my 17 hats because I have it connected to my website, my contact page. It gets in there, it shoots me an email, says, oh, you've got a new lead. And then I can go in there, look at the lead. They've filled out the, few questions I have on the contact form. I can look at that and then I can attach a workflow to them. Actually, I have a quick 15-minute phone call to kind of suss them out a little bit more. And then if I think that they might be a fit, then I have a workflow that I start and it sends them an NDA so we can talk in more detail about their business and they know that it's confidential. That has to come back signed, and then we look at, and there's a document flow that I've built up all the stages of the workflow to a point where they're signing an agreement, which I've created in effective pricing, or I've created the proposal in effective pricing. We've reviewed all the pricing, they've agreed to it, and then 17 Hats takes care of me getting the signature for that.
Right.
So,
but you're right, the pricing now is difficult. For somebody coming in now, it's going to be prohibitive, and I don't know what they were thinking.
Yep. Well, that's exactly why we're looking at the different ways and how to use ClickUp and stuff, because, and that's it in Bootcamp, we used to say, here it is, this is a great deal. I can't say that anymore.
No.
I can say, here it is, you can get templates. Some of us are using it, but here's, and so it's not as good of a deal at all. So sorry, Jonathan, you were.
No, I was going to say, so we started with 17 Hats, and up until I think it was 2018 summer, we switched over to Dubsado, and it was the exact same reason as Jessica had, is we hit too many users and they literally could not support any more users, but we needed people to be in there. And so now we're on the unicorn hunt. We don't need it to do everything, but we wanted to be able to connect to the website, which Dubsado and 17 Hats both do, so we can bring in leads that way. We want to have workflows and checklists be available there, automation, including emails and the templates. But we want it to work. And that's what we're finding, right? Like, it was exactly the issue. Like, we're currently babysitting it way too much, way more than we should be. So.
Well, one of the things I took away, like Tanya and I both did Kathy Badry's Microsoft 365 for Business last year. And I'm trying to utilize as much as possible. Could I do it all when we took the course? No. there was so much information and so much to get into, and you know, and I'm trying to utilize as much as I can. I know there's stuff in there that I still want to do. I want to get into OneNote and learn how to do the checklists, and there's some other automations that she covered, questionnaires and stuff that tie in and automatically connect to other stuff. And I'm sorry I don't have all the words for it, but there's so much potential there, and I'm hoping that she comes back and does some kind of a refresher where we can pick up. It's either that or I just have to hire her to come and do it for me and get it set up.
Well, that's exactly, we were just talking about that earlier, you know, in that heartbeat app we talked about, and that's exactly, I'm only using not even 20% of what's available in Microsoft 365.
Yeah.
What-
No, right? It's like there's so much more.
Jonathan, what
looking at.
you started mentioning, I couldn't write it quite fast enough. What are you looking for? What pain points are you trying to solve?
So really, I mean, the idea of stuff in one place for our permanent notes about the customer, one place for our workflows, one place for our automation, one place for, you know, all the CRM, the link from the website to create a new lead, to decide if it's good, like that kind of aspect of it. Like one thing that we're having a big challenge with now is like you essentially have to look in 3 different places to be able to do a tax return for a corp. We're looking on our Google Drive, we're looking on Dubsado, and we're looking on our accounting system, QBO or whatever they're using, right? So it creates a lot of gaps and a lot of extra time suck. Whereas like I think it could be made a lot more efficient. And of course, we're looking for something that isn't out to lunch on pricing. Like I've seen some of the prices of some of the apps, and it's just like, you do not give enough value for that. For years, I've had this fantasy about doing everything in Google Workspace, which in theory is doable, but there's a serious lack of talent with somebody who knows how to use all of Workspace to make it all fire. Right. And that's kind of like, I mean, you can't go all in on that if you can't find the brains to run that system.
Well, and then you add up all those things that you're adding, the cost is prohibitive after a while.
For a Workspace?
No, you're tacking on a price for every single one of these things that is not necessarily integrated. You know, they don't work together, but you've got a cost factor there. So
yeah, your
monthly cost is getting too high.
Yeah. Like I hear a lot about Practice Ignition. I haven't heard anybody here mention that they're using it. And originally when I looked, I was just way too much for me to consider at that time. So, now I haven't looked in years, so I'm completely uneducated with how they progress. So
Practice Ignition is great, but for me, there's not enough value to pay for the cost.
Yeah.
The proposals are prettier, but I am a boutique firm by choice, and it's cost effective for a firm that onboards more clients than I do on a monthly basis.
Well, and that's why we went with fresh proposals. And, you know, I mean, Proposify was easy to learn. I've got my niece is working with me. She's learning fresh proposals and pulling it all over because, again, that was a lifetime deal. But yeah, so we looked at that. But you're right. That's exactly it, Jessica. For a boutique firm, for somebody like us, again, it's like $50 some odd a user US. I've heard amazing things about it. But again, it has to be, you know, you've got to be doing the constant onboarding. So if you're bringing on, you know, 1 to 2 new clients a month, it's absolutely going to be worth it for you. But when you're bringing on, like, you know, our case, we're bringing on a couple clients a year type of thing. We may be getting to where it's, you know, 1 a month, where we're looking at how we're looking at growing. We'll have the potential for that. But do we want 1 a month? Just because we've got the room doesn't necessarily mean we want it. And I would rather grow smart, you know, and again, we're losing a few clients, like we're purposely losing, we're firing, you know, a few and this and that. So, you know, that's exactly where you have to look at it. Is there going to be enough volume to make that worth your while for that cost? And I think anybody at the boutique firm, that's what you have to look at is, again, maybe you've got a firm of, you know, 30 people, but again, how many new people, how many renewals, how many of this?
Yes,
The-
and I mean that the advantage of Ignition, because they rebranded, now they're just Ignition, no more practice, is that it will auto bill your clients. So if you have a high enough volume, that's valuable. But since I haven't been paying a monthly fee to achieve that result, there's no incentive for me to switch over to it. Then because they have different pricing tiers and I use value pricing, the tier that meets my needs is $149 per month. It's just not worth it for me.
Like, I mean, we have all our bills go to our customers on, you know, the last day of the month, due on the first day of the month, every month. And then, you know, we do manually process, but we have pre-authorized credit card agreements where that's how we process. And you know what? For saving me, you know, 20 minutes of work, I don't really think it's worth that kind of price.
Yeah, we've looked at Ignition and it's gorgeous. It's stunning, but I can't justify the price for it. I've written down the items that you're looking at, and it sounds like your pain points are you needing those workflows and needing a CRM, and you may have a tough time trying to find one that's going to meet both of those needs. So if you were to in order of importance, is it the CRM or is it the workflows that would be more important? Do you think?
Well, that's the thing is like currently, like in Dubsado, it can do both. You can make it work around to do both, but things aren't firing properly.
Right.
And we're having challenges with, you know, having to babysit the program.
Right.
Like one of the things is if you change a templated workflow, you can choose to just change the future ones when you start up the future ones, or you can add it to all the existing workflows, the changes you've made.
Okay.
But what happened a few times was we just did the workflow, we didn't add it, but the steps got added anyway, which caused projects to stall. And when you have, you know, what do we have on the go right now? I think we have 254 projects. So we have currently 254 projects and 19 leads on the go. That's a lot of babysitting.
Yeah.
It's a lot of babysitting.
Yeah. So
So
I like ClickUp in terms of my automations, my workflows. It was a reasonable price for what I was getting for it. It's if I can have it connected to the website, and the user, I can have it beautifully look on my website. Oh, you want to book a discovery call? You can do all of that here. Enter your information. I find in the ClickUp side, it's rich text format, not so. To the outer world, it looks like HTML. It looks really nice, but to the inner world, it's just plain notes. And so we're making it work as a CRM, and it works for us. It works quite nicely, but it really is more of a workflow management, as opposed to something that's more like a constant contact, which might have that work, the CRM, and you can have your notes and stuff, but I don't think it will do workflows, right? Have you looked at Carbon? I've heard good things.
I haven't looked at Carbon in years. So I'll add that one
Yeah,
back.
and you're
to
like
this.
a per user pricing of around $50 a month per person.
Yeah, Carbon
Carbon's
is in the
good,
pricey end.
Like
but-
seriously, that's insane for us. Like
Well, that's it. You look at that.
And if that's US, that's over $4,000 a year.
Yeah.
Like it better shine my shoes and cook me dinner too.
Right?
Like,
Well, and this is where ClickUp is quite attractive, because right now they have a sale going on that you can get your people in to the business one for less than $10 US a month.
They seem to always have some discount. I don't know
There's
anybody.
I
that
know,
pays
it's
full
like it's
price
an
for
always
ClickUp.
right? But I think there's one that you can still even get with the discount at like almost $5 a month. You know, it's limited, but it's a heck of a lot more. And that's exactly where that becomes a lot more attractive, to say, let's use this with some other things. And there's so much that you can do. Like we had a couple of weeks ago, we had a whole bunch of us on the call, and Stacy and Amy were they're the power users that have figured out a lot more than the rest of us, it seems. But they were like going through and showing us, and there's just so much that you can do so many different ways. And even in your team, it can be set up one way, but even within your team, it can still be set up, because Leanne, Sandra, and I all think differently. So we can still look at it and use it slightly different ways without, with it still coming to the same end result, which is really cool.
Yeah. Well, what in some ways it makes it very difficult when you're creating new workflows or you're adding something, because if I add something to one client, and I want to add it to all the other projects, it's very manual. But what I like is I can have a folder, here's ABC client, and I can have it something very custom for that workflow, very custom for that client, and it won't affect the other ones. So
one of the pros of ClickUp, which is also a con, it's very customizable. There's 10 different ways to achieve the same result. So you have this amazing flexibility because it's not accounting specific. So you can make out of it whatever you want. What makes it a con is anybody that's not really techie inclined, it can be extremely confusing, overwhelming. I am very techie and I made a mess out of my ClickUp and I had to hire somebody to clean it up and set it up. So there's the pros and cons, not saying don't use it. Now, unfortunately, ClickUp cannot handle the lead management part. You can embed a form on your website and it will be added into your ClickUp. I am a little bit too picky about the styling of it. So I didn't have that much flexibility back then. I don't know if they expanded that. But
if you have a programmer, like if you have somebody who is willing to take the time to learn how to set it up, you can customize it. Like you say, Jessica, you can customize it a million different ways.
And their dashboards are really cool.
But it's taking that time to learn how to do that.
Yeah, it's quite the learning curve.
When we previously looked at Method and HubSpot, that's what we were finding.
HubSpot is like that. Massive.
The pricing is very difficult to understand, or it was at that time. It was difficult to understand, and it took a lot of work to get moving. And I mean, who has 2 months to spend developing their own system?
Yeah, absolutely.
So unfortunately, that unicorn that you're looking for, Jonathan, I don't think has been born yet. So what a lot of people end up doing, I mean, I've heard good things about TaxDom. I personally haven't used it. I can comment, but may want to watch a video or a demo on it. But what some people do is like they keep the Dubsado or whatever it is for the lead management contract. Once they turn into clients, then using a full featured workflow tool like Financial Sense or Pixie, because there you can have the notes from the clients, the attachments from the clients, the project deadlines, the specific steps, the assignments. So it would at least reduce the going from system to system. Because when somebody's going to do the work, they just log onto that tool. They can see the client details. They can send them an email if they need to. They can follow the deadlines. And as so far, knock on wood, none of those tools have needed babysitting.
There's a tool that a lot of we don't have a lot of customers in construction. We only work with customers in construction who work with a very specific coach, because he helps them with their mindset, and they're good customers once they're working with him. But they use a program called Builder Trend, and they're all finding the same issue, is that they need somebody to babysit, maybe not the system, but the users of the system, to make sure that stuff is getting in there properly, being tracked properly. Do you find that you guys have that challenge as well, and that you need to kind of train people and then continuously reinforce them on how to use a system?
No, I have a Loom video for a new team member. It shows them, this is how you use this. This is how you add a new template. This is how you mark these done. This is where you put the notes. That's it. So you do want something that's user friendly, so that people will follow that. But I did have troubles with ClickUp. When I used ClickUp, I had trouble with team members not using it consistently and a higher level of user error.
Again, because of that whole customizable thing, it also means, I'm going to do it this way. And yeah, we have found those issues, just different things on language. I was helping a team member clean up the other day because he was assigned to a whole bunch of subtasks that recreated every time he said complete. And the parent task had actually been closed, but when the other team member had closed that parent task, they didn't say, yes, please close off all subtasks. And it made it very difficult. And we had to work really hard to try to find, and it was really difficult to try to find where's the head of this that I could cut off to try to prevent this recreation from happening. And that actually was kind of difficult. And it's, you know, you can recreate the task in 12 different ways. And the methodology that I recommend using, not everybody either remembered to use it or did it. And because it can be customizable, what you can do is you can lock it down so that they can't change your templates, or they can't change some of those big tasks. So they might screw up their own tasks, but not necessarily everybody else's.
Yep. All right. Well, we're at time. So thank you very much to everybody for joining us today. We will see you next week. I hope everybody has an absolutely amazing long weekend.
Happy Easter.
Yeah.
Yes, happy Easter, happy Passover. And
Yes, happy Passover, happy Easter, happy.
I believe it's Ramadan as well.
I do believe it's Ramadan. I was going to say it was
Yeah.
something,
Okay.
there was another holiday in here too. So
Awesome. Okay, well, have a great week all.